ReefDudes is sponsored by Ecotech Marine and Bulk Reef Supply.
So it's been about a month since my crazy 7 DKH Alk Swing. The tank's actually doing pretty good considering all, so I figure it's time for a tank update. What's going on, guys? Devin from ReefDudes. Now, it's been about a month since I had that 7 DKH Alk Swing. Now that was a big swing, and surprisingly, I have not lost a single coral from it, so the tank is doing very well. In fact, I actually did a bunch of fragging in the tank, everything seems happy, but my consumption has been going up like crazy. So today, let's get to it and let's do a tank update. So coming to the tank, all of the corals are actually looking extremely healthy and happy. I'm very surprised that there's nothing that's RTN, STN reseeded, or anything from that 7 DKH Alk Swing. To me, that's a massive swing. So it just goes to show if corals are happy, they're much harder than you think. A few random things I did find a bit surprising. If you look at stuff in the back, above it was my original forest fire digi, which wasn't overly colorful. It's kind of been fairly pale for a while. And I removed it and added a new rock for that tenuous. But if we look beside it, down to the right, just below the tank's tail there's some extremely vibrant forest fire digi, which is kind of interesting that the original stuff that I added kind of grew and didn't do much. But little fragments that grew off of it have been doing extremely colorful and looks 100 times better. So I did pull out the big kind of colony chunk of it, and I'm going to probably put that in the other tank and see if it colors up or how it does in there. The tenuous that I added from Shoreline a month or two ago, super polypy, looking very happy. Same with this millipora, very, very shaggy, and it is retaining all its polyp extension and is looking very well. Another thing I want to update you guys on was the KFC DIP. So I did dip all of my torches. Since I've done that, I have not lost a single head since then, so whatever was affecting it does seem to have stopped it. And if we take a look underneath, you can see the flesh band is definitely look much puffier. It's hard to say if it's really growing down a lot compared to what it once was, but it is puffy and looks pretty happy. I do have a bunch of cool hammers in different colors like bicolors and purple and gold and stuff on this section of the tank. I might actually take a bunch of these out and scale it back because you don't really see this area, and I might move these to the office tank and add some more polypy, fleshy flow in there. I'll leave some in here, but I do think I'm going to tone it way back. As you can see, the acros are growing very, very well. Some of these guys are getting huge and it's been having awesome growth. Now the downfall of all this growth is it means your consumption is going up. And I have been having a bugger of a time keeping up with my elk demand lately. And I am running the calcium reactor at about 50 mils per minute, so it's basically a constant stream coming out of it. On top of that, we have dosing about 6 liters of calc a day. And on top of that, I'm also dosing 120 mils of alkalinity. And if you come down here, you can kind of see that setup, and there's definitely a lot going on trying to keep up with all of these demands. Now, as you know, the kind of inverse scale, when I started dosing all of the extra alkalinity in here, I noticed my calcium was dropping. And if your alkalinity is really high, it will kind of tilt the scales and drop your calcium a bit, the same as vice versa. So I actually did add calcium buffer to the other head of the dose, so that they're dosing both and will help keep things a little more stable in the tank. I'm almost wondering if I got added magnesium now to really balance it out, but we still got the calc stir going. This is essentially replaced my auto top off. We do have the calcium reactor full of the 2 little fishies reborn, and I believe it's around 6.7 pH in there now. I had it at 6.5, but I'm gonna slowly push that back down further and try and get a little more alkalinity out of it. But it just goes to show the crazy demand that you can have once your tank really starts to grow out. Now, one of the other downsides of this is my pH has also been tanking a little while just from pushing so much more calcium reactor through there. So when I did have it at 6.5 pH going through my fluent, I definitely did see more of a negative impact on pH. So I did replace all the soda lime inside of there, and I did help boost it back up. It was hit, I think, 8.2 the other day, where prior to changing that media, it was like barely scraping 8. So it definitely did make a big difference. On the diffuser wise, just side thing, I actually did take out the diffuser panels for now, and a bit of a way to make a mini light shade. Because with the diffuser on it, I do like the look of it. However, it does cast more of a side light, and with the baby now, I've been trying to reduce kind of any blue light spill. So even just using the diffuser frame without it has worked pretty well as kind of a little miniature light shade. I have been asked a bazillion times to make some kind of flaps or make some kind of a shade design similar to what I did with the AIs. I actually did design a super cool one that's going to be very sleek, kind of similar idea that's very sleek and aesthetically pleasing with it. So working on prototyping that, so it might be a future edition. Under the hood, we of course have the army of Versas. One thing that I also did notice on the tubing, I did replace this one the other day, and it was starting to get worn. All of them seem to last a really long time, except for the calcium reactor one. This one I find every 4 months is about right to change that one to keep things working smoothly. After that, the hose seems to get a little more, I don't know if I wouldn't say brittle, but it gets a little tougher where it doesn't flow quite as nicely. And since changing that definitely gave me a lot smoother fluent. And I'm gonna say, when back when I had the Kimura, I did a similar thing. Roughly every 4 to 5 months, I would change it on the calcium reactor one. All the ones that only get intermittent use just for dosing, like I'm pretty sure most of the rest are still my original tubing, but calcium reactor, definitely make sure you keep up on that one, especially if you're using it for continuous use. Back under the hood, we do have the auto testers. Got the Trident, which is actually just about due for some fresh reagents, so might change that out today. And Alkatronic, these are consistently within about 0.15, 0.18 of each other. They do test slightly different times of day, so there's a slight discrepancy, but they're pretty much consistently off at all times, which is awesome to see. They kind of keep each other honest. Same thing with the Mastertronic. Cyanide phosphates are at about 0.1, so probably due to change some GFO, but 0.9, 0.6, 0.9 is kind of a happy place for my tank. Now on the right hand side of the tank, you can see in the crack here I have my Space Saver 1 gallon container, and this is for my Alkatronic reagent. There was a couple times when I actually had the hose get pinched on me and I was messing with the readings. So I took a chunk of 3/8 inch RODI tubing and used it as a bit of a shielding and fished the tube through it. And that worked really well, so now I have my little conduit that runs inside and no more risk of getting pinched. So if you guys do have any issues with your little reagent lines getting pinched, super easy, quick fix for it. Now, in the last tank update about a month ago, I remember saying that the red planet had a little bit of look like RTN, STM, possibly it was likely just the Goni sticking it. We got a proof right here is that those little tentacles are just grazing the edge of it. Now that has oddly stimulated some more growth a little bit further away from the tentacles, so it's kind of funky to see how that works out, but if it's stimulating growth, I mean, that's an awesome sign. We got tons of little nubbins starting to poke up, so hopefully the red planet after ages and ages will finally take off. Now, if I'm ever in here maintaining and cleaning the tanks, one of the things I really love is seeing the amazing top-down views. It's something that we don't really get to appreciate enough. Just taking a look in, you can just get these awesome, I'll see all the coral lights, all the tips, you get so much more colors looking top-down on it. And actually looking at the back coral wall, or the rainbow loom growing on the wall, it's really cool to see all the branches growing out of it now. Well, I've been kind of excited for that to finally happen, and yeah, it's really cool. So let's play little shelves of rainbow loom. Hellfire Millie, that guy's some amazing color. Over here we can see my little Walt Disney that's finally starting to grow. That one took absolutely ages in this tank, but better late than never. The Miyagi Tort has absolutely went bananas in my tank. It's crazy how much this guy is growing. And our good old green Slimer, this guy is a classic. You can't beat it for just how bright that guy is. The Red Dragon, this has absolutely taken off. I mean, I've fragged this a few times and it is massive. And it's actually super duper pink in my tank, which I do love that color. Another one that I can't believe how fast it's grown is the Goldenrod Anacropora. I got this guy as a teeny little twig a year or two ago, and now it's huge. One coral I kind of regret adding is that Telezoa that's kind of taken over. There's a bunch of wrasses that are just getting buried with it, so I might actually hit that one with some of the F-aptation, see if I can knock it back and at least get it out of the area of all the rastas. So when you're adding zoas, make sure you don't get any of that grow too fast. Gonis always look pretty cool top down, and of course so do our torches. Really happy that the Dragon Soul torch is doing better and it's looking pretty happy. Tons and tons of heads. Super happy we haven't lost a single one since we did that dip. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this tank update on the Waterbox 7225. Overall, I'm very happy with how things are progressing. I am working on different ways to keep up with my crazy elk demand, but aside from that, things are going pretty smooth. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next update.